Picture a snake longer than a school bus, thicker than your waist, heavier than a car. This is not a movie monster. It was completely real. It actually crawled across this planet. Scientists call it Titanoboa, the largest snake that ever existed. 42 feet of solid muscle, over a ton of crushing power, 10 times heavier than a green anaconda. And here's what nobody tells you. A snake this big should be impossible. The laws of biology forbid it. So how did it ever exist? The answer isn't about the snake. It's about the entire planet. Earth once ran on completely different rules that built true giants, and then quietly erased them. Stick with me to the end, because this changes how you see our world. Let's travel back 60 million years. The dinosaurs are already gone. A giant asteroid wiped them out. The world is healing from disaster, and in the swamps of South America, something terrifying is rising. Welcome to ancient Colombia, a steaming, flooded rainforest, hotter than any jungle today. The air is thick and wet. Rivers wind through endless green. This is paradise for cold-blooded life. And one creature rules it all. Beneath the murky water, it waits, silent, patient, enormous, a predator with no equal. If you love prehistoric mysteries, hit subscribe right now. Trust me, it gets so much wilder. In 2009, a quiet coal mine in Colombia gave up an incredible secret. Workers digging through the massive Cerrejón pit uncovered something that stunned the scientific world. Buried in ancient rock were gigantic fossil backbones, each one the size of a dinner plate. At first, researchers were convinced they belonged to a huge prehistoric crocodile, but the curved shape was unmistakable. These bones came from a snake. Paleontologists could barely believe the measurements they were writing down. The research team had never measured a fossil snake even remotely close to this. When they reconstructed the full animal, the numbers seemed almost impossible. This serpent stretched nearly 43 feet from its head to the tip of its tail. At its thickest point, its body was as wide as a grown man's torso. It weighed more than 2,500 pounds, heavier than a small car. They named it Titanoboa cerrejonensis, the Titanic boa of Cerrejón, and it instantly shattered everything we thought we knew about snakes. But here's the twist. The size alone isn't the real mystery. The real question is how nature ever allowed a snake this enormous to exist. To understand that, you need one simple fact about how snakes work. Snakes are cold-blooded. They can't make their own body heat like you and I can. Instead, they borrow their warmth directly from the world around them. And that single rule controls exactly how big a snake is able to grow. In a cooler climate, a giant snake's body simply can't stay warm enough. Its metabolism stalls, its digestion fails, and the animal slowly dies. So for a snake to reach Titanoboa's size, one thing was absolutely required. The world itself had to be blisteringly, relentlessly hot. That's when scientists realized something brilliant about this fossil. They could actually use the snake's size as a giant ancient thermometer. The bigger the cold-blooded predator, the hotter its world must have been. Its enormous body was basically a fossilized weather report from deep time. And what it revealed about ancient Earth was honestly staggering. 60 million years ago, the tropics were far hotter than they are today. Average temperatures sat around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, all year, every single year. There was no winter, no cool season, no relief from the heat, just constant, suffocating greenhouse warmth pressing down on everything alive. And that heat was the secret ingredient that quietly built a monster. In that superheated world, cold-blooded animals could grow to absurd sizes. Titanoboa wasn't a freak accident. It was the planet's natural result. Think of the ancient climate as an invisible architect of life. More heat meant more energy, and more energy meant far bigger bodies. And believe me, Titanoboa was not alone in this lost world. It shared its swamp with turtles the size of a dining table. Giant crocodile relatives prowled the very same warm, muddy rivers. Lungfish longer than a grown man drifted through the steaming shallows. It was an entire hidden kingdom of giants, ruled from the water. Everything in this drowned forest seemed to be built on a giant, exaggerated scale. And sitting at the very top of it all was the great serpent. So picture one ordinary day in that ancient, dripping rainforest. The heat shimmers over still water as insects hum in the thick air. A young crocodile slips into the river, hunting for its next meal. It has no idea that something far larger is already watching. So how did a creature this massive actually hunt its prey? Here's the surprising part. Titanoboa wasn't venomous. It needed no poison at all. It was a constrictor, just like a modern boa or anaconda. But now imagine that same crushing power scaled up tenfold. Scientists believe its squeeze could generate truly enormous force on a victim, pressure strong enough to collapse bone and stop a heart in seconds. Its sheer weight alone could pin a struggling animal against the muddy riverbed. There would be no escaping a grip like that, not by strength and not by speed. It likely lurked just below the surface of the dark, murky water, only its eyes breaking the still green surface above. When prey came down to drink, it struck like a living trap. Its coils wrapped around the victim faster than the eye could follow. And then, slowly and patiently, it swallowed its meal entirely whole. A single Titanoboa could eat an animal that would terrify us today. Picture it devouring a full-grown crocodile in one long, unhurried meal. This was the undisputed apex predator of a forgotten green world. But here is where the story takes its strangest, most haunting turn. If heat created Titanoboa, then heat could also quietly destroy it. Over millions of years, the Earth's climate slowly began to shift again. That extreme greenhouse warmth gradually started to fade away. Temperatures across the tropics cooled, degree by patient degree. And for a giant, cold-blooded snake, that cooling was a death sentence. As the world chilled, the very rules that built Titanoboa reversed. A body that enormous could no longer stay warm enough to survive. Bit by bit, generation by generation, the giants of the swamp shrank. Not in one violent extinction, but in a slow, silent fading. The planet simply stopped supporting monsters of that incredible scale, and the largest snake in all of history slipped into the fossil record. Now here's a question that really makes you stop and think. What if Titanoboa were somehow alive in our world today? The honest answer is that our planet would have to change first. Our modern climate is far too cool to sustain a snake that size. Its giant body would never warm up enough to even digest a meal. Even our hottest jungles couldn't keep a body that enormous functioning for long. It's almost as if nature set a strict temperature limit, and we now live below it. In a strange way, the Earth itself locked the door on creatures like this. And yet, its descendants are still quietly slithering among us. Modern boas and anacondas carry Titanoboa's exact ancient blueprint, but they live in a colder, smaller-scaled version of the world. The biggest anaconda alive reaches barely a fifth of Titanoboa's weight. It's a faded echo of a far more extreme and brutal age. And that is the part that should genuinely make you pause. Titanoboa is so much more than just a cool prehistoric fact. It's living proof that our planet's climate writes the rules of life itself. Change the temperature, and you change what is even biologically possible. A few simple degrees decided whether true giants could walk the Earth. That is how unbelievably powerful our planet's climate really is. It can build a 40-foot predator out of nothing but heat and time, and then erase it from existence without a single sound. So the next time someone says a snake could never get that big, remember the boiling swamps of ancient prehistoric Colombia. Remember a creature that broke every single rule we thought we understood. Titanoboa was never science fiction. It was terrifyingly completely real. It was the natural child of a hotter, wilder version of our world. A reminder that Earth has worn many strange faces before our own, and it will surely wear many more long after we are gone. Scientists still study its bones to learn how warm that vanished world really was. Each new fossil we uncover adds one more clue to that ancient, sweltering puzzle. If this story blew your mind even a little, do me one quick favor. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Every week we uncover the lost giants and strange truths of our planet. There's an entire forgotten world waiting for you in the next video. And drop a comment for me. Would you survive one day in Titanoboa's swamp? Honestly, I read every single one of them. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you'd like,